600 years before Columbus, a Somali scholar walked the Chinese Imperial Palace, advising the emperor in fluent Mandarin. We are told the oceans were lonely barriers until European ships finally crossed them. Yet long before Vasco da Gama set sail, Somali captains were already navigating with mathematical precision. From delivering live giraffes to the Ming court to crafting compasses later claimed by Portugal, this is the true story Europe tried to burn out of history. Somali mariners were not waiting to be discovered. They were masters of their destiny, sailing a liquid bridge connecting stone cities to imperial China. The secret lay in the wind. Unlike the hostile Atlantic, the Indian Ocean was a predictable partner. Somali sailors understood monsoon cycles intimately, riding winds toward Asia in winter and letting currents carry them home in summer. This natural conveyor belt turned the ocean into a global marketplace. This system allowed Mogadishu merchants to trade directly with Eastern emperors, while Europe remained locked in the Middle Ages. Our first solid proof comes from the Tang Dynasty, 600 years before Columbus. A Chinese scholar named Duan Chengshi wrote detailed accounts of a land called Bobali, identified by historians as the Somali coast. He described specific customs, noting how people drank milk mixed with blood, a distinct tradition of pastoral nomads. He documented their martial independence and valuable ambergris trade, proving China watched East Africa long before assumed. Behind these ports lay the Ajuran Empire, a powerful engine of civilization. Often called a hydraulic empire, they mastered the arid interior through complex engineering. They constructed massive limestone wells and intricate irrigation systems along the Shabelle River, generating the agricultural surplus needed to feed ocean-going crews and support a stable and sophisticated infrastructure at home. This economic strength is stamped into history through their currency. While neighbors relied on barter, the Sultanate of Mogadishu minted its own silver and bronze coins, the hallmark of a sovereign economy. Bearing names of rulers like Sultan Ali ibn Yusuf, these coins have been unearthed by archaeologists as far away as the United Arab Emirates. This physical evidence proves Somali merchants were financial heavyweights, operating a currency recognized across the Islamic world. In the 14th century, Said of Mogadishu personalized this global reach. He was not merely a trader, but a scholar and diplomat. Traveling from the Horn of Africa, he lived in the Yuan dynasty's capital, learned Mandarin, and walked the halls of power. We know of him because he met the traveler Ibn Battuta in India, sharing insider details of Chinese imperial succession. He reportedly presented the emperor with nautical maps. Said was honored with a prestigious jade seal, marking a deep connection. Later, the relationship entered a golden age during the Ming Dynasty, symbolized by the famous giraffe tribute. The Ajuran Empire sent live giraffes, zebras, and lions across the ocean. To the Chinese, the giraffe was the mythical Qilin, a sign of heavenly blessing. By delivering these animals, Somali leaders were not just trading. They were engaging in high-stakes cultural diplomacy. This diplomacy granted political legitimacy to the emperor and involved a permanent human presence. Ming records detail that Somali ambassadors resided in Beijing for years, living in designated quarters and engaging in state-level dialogue. In fact, several of Admiral Zheng's massive voyages were launched specifically to return these envoys safely to Mogadishu and Barawa. This was a relationship of mutual respect between sovereign states, vastly different from later colonial subjugation. When Zheng's treasure fleet arrived to return these diplomats, it was a global spectacle. Over 200 massive ships, carrying nearly 30,000 men, anchored off the white sands of the Somali coast. Unlike later European arrivals, these giants did not open fire. Instead, they opened their holds, exchanging Chinese silks and porcelain for the aromatic frankincense and ambergris the coast produced, solidifying a partnership based on mutual prosperity. This maritime success was built on brilliant technology like the Mtepe, vessels sewn together with coconut fiber rather than nailed. To European eyes, they looked fragile, but they were engineering marvels designed to flex and survive the treacherous coral reefs. For navigation, they used the Kamal, holding a knotted string in their teeth to measure the stars. This device allowed them to guide their ships with mathematical precision across the open sea. This mastery was not merely instinctual, it was deeply scientific and recorded. Somali navigators possessed a vast library of maritime literature known as Ramani, or nautical rudders. These detailed manuals contained centuries of accumulated data on star positions, wind patterns, and current drifts. While European sailors were still hugging their own coastlines, Indian Ocean captains were reading complex charts that turned the open sea into a clearly marked highway. There is also physical proof of navigational mastery that was almost lost to history. A magnetic compass, long displayed in a Lisbon museum as a Portuguese artifact, has been identified by modern analysis as Somali in origin. It is a silent witness to a stolen legacy. It proves that African scientists and sailors had mastered the magnetic compass and were charting their own course across the ocean independent of European help. Why is this history so often forgotten? The answer lies in the violence of the 16th century. When the Portuguese arrived, they brought destruction, bombarding Mogadishu and burning coastal cities. Tragically, they also burned libraries and archives. This act of erasing knowledge allowed European explorers to claim they had discovered routes that Somali sailors had been using for generations. They appropriated the maps and the glory. However, the Earth itself refuses to keep the secret. Archaeological digs in Somalia have uncovered a trail of evidence that cannot be burned. From the Benadir coast to the interior, we find coins from the Tang, Song, and Ming dynasties. These pieces prove the Somali economy was globally integrated. Shards of Chinese porcelain found in the ruins of ancient stone houses testify to centuries of shared meals and shared culture. Ultimately, the story of the Somali maritime connection to China rewrites our understanding of the past. It shows us that globalization is not a modern invention, nor is it purely Western. The Indian Ocean was a thriving world where an African scholar could advise a Mongol emperor and a Somali captain could navigate by the stars to the east. It is a legacy of courage, science, and connection that deserves to be remembered.